Welcome back to another pro wrestling news video. My name is Zango. In this video, we are talking about some massive news surrounding Vince McMahon, WWE, the creative process. We are going to be talking about the idea of a WWE all-women's show. There is somebody who works in WWE who is talking about this publicly. And yes, we are going to talk about the Cinnamon Toast Crunch match. I warned you. I got the details in this video. Guys, we're going to kick things off with Shawn Michaels, HBK. This is a pretty big backstage update. Shawn Michaels did the media call for WWE NXT Vengeance Day, and one of the reporters from Wrestling Inc. had actually asked Shawn Michaels about Vince McMahon's involvement and, whether there was expectations that he might be involved in the future. Now, with that being said, Shawn Michaels said that he would imagine that Vince probably has bigger fish to fry than us down here in NXT. One of the things I do enjoy about my job down here is the plausible deniability that I'm allowed to have. I don't ask a lot of questions because I don't want to know the answers to some of them. Even back when we were here, he was good with us down here. Obviously, one thing that is very interesting is he actually goes on to talk about Triple H and his involvement. He goes on and explains that Triple H now handles WWE creative. However, there has been no outside input in how NXT operates. He says that they are very good with us down here in NXT. They understand it's a different environment down here, so we're very fortunate to be kind of independent no matter who is running the ship up there in Stamford. They allow us a great deal of freedom down here, which we appreciate. Now, this is actually really big news, obviously, for a lot of reasons, because a lot of people have been wondering about Vince McMahon's involvement in the creative process. And Shawn Michaels running NXT, again, it is a different environment. It is developmental. I do think NXT has quite a bit of room for improvement. I would like to see Triple H, I don't want to say micromanage NXT, but it would be nice to see Triple H kind of, dig deep a little bit into NXT and try to get them on the right track. I think, if you guys have been watching my content, especially this past week, I mentioned specifically that NXT is really good with like booking and logical storytelling and stuff, but some of the content that they produce is just a little too childish or a little too immature. And obviously it is a developmental program. So some people are really good. Some people aren't really bad. Or some people are really bad, but ultimately in order to improve, we kind of have to reshift the focus of NXT. There is a little bit more, influence of the in-ring wrestling stuff that's going on. But if you're bringing in people like Dragon Lee or Carl Fredericks or whoever else it might be, you don't want them involved in these very high school type promos backstage. And that's been one of my big complaints about NXT. Lots of room for improvement, but Vince McMahon is not involved, according to Shawn Michaels. Guys, we got to talk about the idea of an all-women's WWE show because, well, it could very well be a possibility. In fact, one thing that was really interesting on the Oh You Didn't Know podcast, Road Dogg Brian James spoke about this, and obviously, if you guys didn't know, he is not involved in WWE's creative, but he does work for WWE now in 2023. He says that WWE has a plethora of female talent, but that booking the division isn't as easy as making matches, especially when the booking keeps the lights on. Also noting that WWE would need to get a better handle on the women's tag team division before the introduction of hypothetical mid-card titles. Side note, we have talked a lot about mid-card titles being introduced in the women's division, and one of the things that I have said specifically that is before you can add mid-card titles, you have to get the women's tag team division a lot more improved. And obviously, Road Dogg definitely agrees. He also says one thing that he is certain of is that WWE has enough talent to give the women a regular showcase. He believes that there is room for an all-women's show. It's just who wants to buy that, obviously, in regards to TV sales. There's definitely enough talent to have a women's 2-hour show, and it could be called whatever. I'm not sure what it would be called. Now, I actually like the fact that he's speaking out publicly about this because I think a lot of people have spoken about the idea of WWE doing an all-women's show. I would definitely support this idea if WWE chose to go this route. I do think it is really important that WWE does handle the women's booking better on Raw, on SmackDown, because that is where it needs the most improvement. I think if you're not involved for a championship belt, there's not a lot of stories for the women there. And I think that's a big problem to have. You should have stories for the women who aren't chasing championship belts. On paper, they have a very stacked women's roster. I think it is really important for WWE to correct that before they even consider doing an all-women's show. I think a lot of fans would enjoy the idea of an all-women's show, but that is an area that needs to be improved. Also, I think it would be really huge for WWE if they chose to go with the direction of bringing back the Mae Young Classic. There are tons of incredible women in NXT. This could be a really good thing for WWE's NXT division. Gives a lot of women the opportunity to showcase their work, and I think WWE can make a lot of money and benefit greatly from doing another Mae Young Classic. I feel like these things should be on a yearly, annual basis, but so far WWE has yet to do that. So before WWE does the all-women's show, if they choose to go in that direction, I think it's really important that WWE does go and improve the booking on the main roster for the women. Also, I want to make it very clear, before you even execute the idea of an all-women's show, perhaps WWE just slightly can mess with the idea of doing Evolution 2, which would be another all-women's pay-per-view. Would not be a bad idea whatsoever. And guys, we got to talk about this. The Cinnamon Toast Crunch match. This is not a joke. I'm literally not joking. This is really, really interesting. When speaking with The Hollywood Reporter, WWE Senior VP and Head of Global Sales and Partnerships, Craig Stimmel, touted WWE sponsorship revenue for WrestleMania 39. He said it is 43% higher than it was for WrestleMania 38, and there are still months to go. One source noted the sponsorship revenue currently stands at between $14 to $15 million. The article noted that Stimmel suggested that there will be surprises at Mania, specifically calling out a new sponsor, Cinnamon Toast Crunch. He says, I don't want to give away too much, but it'll be around a match and the sponsorship of that match and what they'll be able to bring to that match. So we're going to do things that fit inside our storyline as well. Now, this is very interesting. We have seen WWE incorporate sponsorships as of late into their programming. Austin Theory, I believe it was at Extreme Rules, he had the Beyblade Titantron. Obviously, at WWE's pay-per-view just recently with the Royal Rumble, we saw the Mountain Dew Pitch Black match. And then we also saw Zelina Vega dressed up as a character from Street Fighter, and their logo was also part of her Titantron. Guys, this is the reality that we live in. And I spoke about this on my live stream before. I said, look, I'm just warning you, this is going to be a thing that WWE will continue to do, and rightfully so. $14 to $15 million, and we're still months away from WrestleMania. WWE is going to capitalize on their visibility of their brand. Their brand is very successful, and it is going to get paid very well for doing things like this. Now, a Cinnamon Toast Crunch match, to me, is very gimmicky, and I pray and pray that Bray Wyatt is not involved in this, because Bray Wyatt could literally not afford to keep being involved in these gimmick matches. But of course, WWE is looking at maximizing the bottom dollar. So whether you like it or not, I would say fully to expect this. Now, in what capacity? What are the rules to a Cinnamon Toast Crunch match? I don't even want to begin to think about this, but I do have to admit, I am absolutely blown away by the fact that WWE is doing this, because on one hand, as a business decision, it is absolutely incredibly smart. From a creative decision, I don't know if I necessarily agree with it, but of course, this is the type of news that will surely piss off wrestling fans. Guys, I want to know what you think in the comment section down below. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.